Hi yogis, thanks for joining me for a little tutorial about Chaturanga. Chaturanga is actually the shorter version of a longer name for the pose. The longer name is Chaturanga Dandasana, and that means four-limbed staff pose. So think about a staff or kind of like a walking stick, right? It's pretty straight. You want your back to be flat and straight throughout this pose. Often when I see people trying to figure it out, there's a lot of kind of like swooping the back around and kind of skipping right into Chaturanga, into something new, into your up dog or your cobra. So I'm going to show you a way just to slow it down and just to make sure that you're getting what you need. So we're going to start from plank pose. In our plank pose, the wrists are under the shoulders. The legs are nice and active, and the back is as flat as it can be. I'm really pulling my belly button up to my spine. Now, with my inhale, I'm going to shift forward on my toes. Now, with my exhale, Chaturanga, bending the elbows 90 degrees. I'll inhale into my up dog, flipping the toes, lifting my chest. And then exhale back to my down dog. There's another way to do this, bringing the knees down. So from plank, bring those knees all the way down to the earth. With your exhale, again, bending the elbows and lowering all the way down to the mat. With your inhale then, it would be into baby cobra, little lift to the chest. And still with your exhale, back to that downward facing dog. When you're in this Chaturanga, you want to make sure of a few different things. You want to make sure your shoulders aren't kind of coming too far forward. And you want to make sure your elbows aren't moving too far back. So one way to check on both of those things is to use a block or even kind of a thick book like a dictionary or an encyclopedia. To check whether those elbows are sliding too far back, bring the block on its tallest setting. If you have two blocks, you can use two at once. I'm just using one just to show you. Then set your hands in front of that block and set up your plank from here. Once your plank feels strong, feels like your back is flat, you're pulling the belly in, inhale forward on the toes. With your exhale, bend the elbows. And notice where that block ends up. My block was still standing until my hip hit into it. If you start to lower down and you knock that block over, chances are the elbows are moving back. And if the elbows are moving back, it's pretty hard for those triceps, those upper arms, to come parallel to the ground. You can tell whether your shoulders are coming too far forward by bringing that block onto its medium setting, setting up the hands now behind your block or blocks, coming into your plank pose. With your inhale coming forward, exhale lowering down, and then inhaling all the way into that up dog. So my shoulders did not touch that block. If they did come further forward, if they tapped the block or even knocked it over, probably my shoulders would be below my hips. And in time, that's just gonna be a lot of pressure on the shoulder joint. Kind of a little bit too much of a, like almost a grinding sort of thing that would be happening there. We want our yoga practices to be sustainable for years and years and years. You want to be doing this practice as long as you can, right? So it's really worth the time to actually take the time. Build up. Maybe you start plank on your knees. You lower down. Feel those triceps. And then you lift into that baby cobra. And then once you're sure you've been feeling the triceps, not the shoulders, not the chest, then maybe you try that version with the knees up off the ground. Let me know what you think. Give it a try. Try both versions. Try them in a practice, whether it's a practice with me, a practice at home by yourself. And as always, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help you. Namaste.